Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Greek Shipping Podcast. It's a new vodcast series actually co-organized by Kyvenitis Tavel and the American College of Greece with the support of the Center of Excellence in Shipping, Logistics and Energy. We will explore the world of shipping, discussing with knowledgeable speakers and the leaders who are actually shaping the Greek maritime industry. I am your host, Kaylee Gerakoudi. I am assistant professor in the Centrofin Management Department at DRI, the American College of Greece, and I'm happy to be joining you for what will hopefully be a very interesting and thought-provoking discussion. Today we have the honor of speaking with Mr. Adonis Lambros, director at the Centrofin Management with more than 30 years of experience in the field. Adonis, thank you so much for accepting my invitation. You are my first speaker in this series.
The pleasure is all mine. Actually, the honor is all mine. So thank you very much.
I would like to start with your journey. I think it's always interesting to hear how people enter this field and the path that they take. So what initially drew you to shipping?
That's a very interesting question. Unfortunately, it's not so complicated and not so exciting. And I believe that actually these days things are very different than what they used to be in the past when I started out.
In what sense?
In what sense? In the sense that I am originally from Chios Island, so my father was from the island. He was already in the shipping field. So it is something that...
That's the Greek shipping island, right?
That's the Greek shipping island, but other islands will disagree, of course. So it was more or less of a one-way street. I have an older brother who is 1 year older than me. He is a professor in the university in the United States. So when we approached the age of deciding what to do, my father said, one of you two has to be involved with shipping. My brother said it's not for me, so he left, and then that was just for me. So and my father actually told me you should study engineering because he's not an engineer. He said all my life the engineers have been stealing things from me and we have been crooks. So it's not a very positive message, but you have to study engineering. So that's how I entered the industry, and actually it's been my life. I mean, I've been in this industry for all my life. I don't know anything else. Now, of course, I think it's very different. You have more means to enter the industry. And 30 or 35 years ago, it was much more of a closed, let's say, society. Now, a lot of people are taking interest in the shipping industry, in the maritime industry, if you want to call it like that. And I think this is a good thing. And I see also in our office, for example, a lot of people, one of the things I always ask at interviews is that, how do you get involved with this? Do you have a father or uncle who's a captain or engineer or something? And then more and more I see that, a lot of people who just say no, nothing to do with shipping. I just, read about it, thought it was exciting, and I just wanted to join the team. So I think this is a good thing that, we're opening up eventually.
This is also the first question that I pose to my first year students when they enter my class. Why shipping? What attracted you to shipping?
And what do you see? Do you see
I get a lot of different answers. The majority of them has to do with the excitement that they feel when they hear about shipping.
For me, I would say the word is passion. I mean, you have to say the industry. It's not the industry; it's a field or sector, whatever you call it, where you have to be passionate about the actual ship, about
why?
Because it is,
Why do you use this term?
I may sound a bit romantic because I believe like the ship is like a living organism. It is something
It's a lady, right?
It's a lady, okay. This is I'm not sure if we're allowed to say that anymore now with all this, the new culture.
Correct.
But traditionally it has been a lady, let's say. And it is, it has a will of its own. It has a character. And of course, a lot of people think that it's a technical job and it's something that you need to study. For me, it is all about people. That's my.
I'm answer back to that. Adon, what do you think that has been the most significant development in the shipping industry during the past decade?
The past decade. In a word, I would say technology, of course. But I think that the effect of technology, and mostly I would say connectivity. I mean, the ability of people to be on board and connect with the people ashore. And it has an effect in various fields. When I started traveling like 35 years ago, it wasn't easy to get the message across. You have to solve a lot of problems on board. You had to pick up the phone. There was no good satellite reception if the ship had a satellite communication system. Now everything is fast, so it works well for the business. It works well for the individuals on board. They can connect with their family. There is also a negative side to that, but mostly it's positive.
Negative sides of connectivity.
The negative side, when the seafarer connects to their family, there are studies that show that they are subject sometimes to stress when they cannot deal with something. So in the old days, for example, you would be traveling and your kid would have a bike accident, they would break an arm or a leg. You'd find out about it maybe 3 weeks later when everything was finished, and you were informed about it. Now you'll find out about it immediately. You will not be able to help because you're on board. So this may cause stress. So I mean, this is the flip side. Let's say the negative side of.
So they get distracted from their job.
It may happen. You may get distracted from your job. So this is one of the, let's say, every advancement, everything positive comes also with the negative side. You can't have only positives.
Mm-hmm. Okay. My next question has to do with sustainability. Sustainability has become increasingly a critical term in shipping. But according to you, how can a shipping organization or the industry in general balance profitability with environmental responsibility?
Uh-huh. Well, first of all, it's one of the oldest industries around. So I think that shows by itself that we are sustainable. But being sustainable in this era means, of course, something different. Our business is very heavily regulated from an environmental viewpoint. And to be quite honest, I don't think it's very difficult to create this balance because in many ways, economy and ecology or profitability and sustainability are interrelated. And a lot of the focus is on the emissions. The emissions are directly proportional to the fuel that you burn and the fuel costs. So the effort to reduce emissions at the same time creates ships that are more economical and therefore they cost less. For example, we operate tankers in our company. We have the Suezmax tankers, and we have ships that were built at the same yard, so very similar design, 10 years apart. The same ship was delivered 2011, and we have the same ship 2022. The difference in consumption is phenomenal, and without let's say putting aside we haven't had any, let's say, significant technological advances, just the normal, let's say, specification that the engine builders provide. So we're talking about 10 tons a day saving just on the fuel consumption.
So this is reflected in profitability.
Exactly. So being, let's say, green also helps in being more profitable. So I don't think there's a conflict. I mean, okay, the balance that you say, I think it's very easy to achieve.
Mm-hmm. All right. Shipping often involves highly technical operations, but I think that shipping at its core is still about human connections. What do you think will be the role of personal relationships, let's say, in a modern shipping world, which is highly automated and digitalized?
Personally, I think that people are at the core of our business. Yes, technology is there. I don't think we are a high-tech industry compared, for example, to the aviation industry or other areas. We do have technology. We do take advantage of technology. There is a lot of, let's say, speculation about the future of shipping. We're talking about autonomous ships and unmanned and so on. Personally, I'm maybe an old school guy, but it is.
Do you believe in those terms? Smart ports, smart vessels.
Smart. They're here. The smart vessels are here in the sense that you can get a lot of data back from all the equipment. You have sensors on board. Mm-hmm. They transmit a lot of data back to the office. But you have to have systems to control all this. So it's nothing new, to be honest. Instead of having your people on board and checking things, you have more, let's say, tools at your disposal in order to create a safer and a better result, a safer ship and a better result. But at the end of the day, people have to be there. So we're not going to get rid of our seafarers. To the contrary, we need more of them.
Why not?
Because they're in, let's say, in a distant environment. You need people who have knowledge. At some point, they will have to take a decision. You cannot do everything remotely. You cannot do everything remotely as well as you would do it. And there are still, there's a question about reliability. Now, obviously, we could not be sure what will happen in 50 or 60 years or 100 years. It will not be around. But definitely, I don't see it coming now. I cannot say that by 2030 or by 2035, we'll have autonomous cargo ships, sailing across the oceans and so on. And on a testing environment, maybe. And we've seen this also in the past. If you remember, for example, there's a lot of discussion now about the propulsion, about nuclear energy being used on board ships. The first nuclear power ships was back in the 60s. The Savannah, that made this infamous voyage. And now it's like, 70 years have passed, nothing has developed. So it's, from pioneering an advancement until having it applied, let's say, worldwide on an industry, I think it takes some time.
I think they trade to a limited extent up there in the North Sea, right?
In the North Sea, yes, but this is a very specific trade. It's not our mainstream, let's say, shipping that at least we in Greece are used to.
And what is the role of leadership in a modern maritime world?
Mm-hmm. It's a very wide word, I think. This
Showcase combines technology, machines, sensors, and people. What will change in terms of leadership?
I think the change in leadership at this moment comes not from technologies as much as to, let's say, a global change in culture. So the leader of the 21st century is very different from the leader of the 20th century, and if you even further.
In what ways?
The main thing is that you need social responsibility, empathy, active listening, being able to interact and to listen. Gone, in my opinion, are the days that the leader was the person who would have the total knowledge, who had the absolute power to say, this is what we'll do, this is what we won't do. There's an article in this Harvard Business Review about the incomplete leader. This is the modern, let's say, version of the leader, in my opinion.
Are you implying that we need more human leaders in shipping?
We need more humanity for our leaders, I think. Not only in shipping, in general, I would say, but shipping is just one part of the industries. So I think we need to have leaders with a more human face, say.
Human face. How is shipping different than other industries?
I think the main difference comes from its global reach. We are everywhere. At any given time, something is happening somewhere in the world, and this is what makes it fascinating. This is what makes us passionate about it. It depends on so many factors. I mean, it's a very simple, if you want to put it from a, let's say, economical point of view, it's a very simple industry. It only depends on supply and demand. But there's so many factors that are influencing supply and demand. Something happens in the other side of the world, either a political or economical change, or weather has changed, or an earthquake. Anything can happen, and it can affect our business. That is the first thing. This global reach. Secondly, is that it's this competition that you're competing with everybody. It's like an open field. The entry level is there. It's not very difficult to start getting involved in shipping. And then it's just free. I will just put in a quotation, free competition. It's not exactly free, but it's not exactly level for everyone. But still, you can compete with anyone. So you're sitting in Greece and competing with one person from South America, another one from China, another one from Germany. But that's for doing the same business. And this connectivity, you're connecting people, you're connecting goods, you're connecting ports. This is what makes it.
Different cultures, different time zones.
It is necessary. That is what makes our business so different.
Right.
But at the same time, more interesting.
Mm-hmm. How do you handle crisis?
Crisis, yeah. We had to handle quite a few in our career.
You're the chief operating officer here.
Yes. The difficult crises are, again, the ones that involve human beings, people. It's not easy.
Explain.
It's not, I will explain. Yes, it's Because people, when you talk about crisis, usually you may consider financial decisions or, something with the market. For me, anything that involves the people is more difficult. You need to be calm, resilient. Resilience is a word that is very much in focus recently, and it applies also to our industry. You need to be self-aware, to know limitations, to know the limitations of ourselves, of our teams, of our people. We need to be close to our...
Why is this a more demanding situation?
Decisions, again, because this industry is, as I said before, simple but complicated. Decisions, you don't know exactly where your decisions will arrive. It's not always clear what the right decision is to make. I can give you an example. It's not a very nice one, so I'm not sure. Anyway, I'll go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, a few years back, 10 years, 11 back, I got a call in the middle of the night from our crew manager saying, we had an incident on board one of our ships. The chief engineer was found drinking, which of course is not allowed. It was a bulk carrier, but still we don't allow drinking on the bulk carriers. And he wanted to go home. Anyway, he had gotten some bad news from his home that his wife was cheating on him, and a commotion. And then the next few hours, he said he calmed down, and now he wants to stay on board because he has 4 kids. He wants to work for his family and so on. And I said, "What should we do?" And at the time you take a decision, you don't know where it's going to lead. And he said, "Okay, we have to send him home because that's our policy. We have to be strict, even though he has said I'm sorry and I won't do it again and so on." And that's a decision I took. Okay, easy, simple, straightforward. You don't know. And a week later, I get news from our crewing office in Manila that he went back home. He got a shotgun, shot his wife, and then committed suicide. And left his 4 children orphans. So I mean, this was a shock for me. Was it the result of my decision? Probably, maybe, I don't know. So decisions are difficult, and that's why I said the difficult decisions have to do with people. It's that's the way I understand my responsibility, my primary responsibility being for my people. The other decisions, the commercial ones, the financial ones, they may be difficult, but still manageable. The ones with people are more difficult.
Thank you for sharing with us, first of all. That was very shocking indeed. Which was the most difficult decision that you've had to make during your career? A priori, you knew that you had to make a difficult decision.
I don't think I can pinpoint one decision, a difficult decision I had to make during my career.
When you had limited options, maybe, or it was too much at stake?
It is when things are at stake, like I said again, it is when people are involved. We have a lot of stories about difficult decisions, and we had the difficult times as a business and an industry from 2010 until 2015. These were difficult years for us and for other companies as well. And then, a lot of companies came on the brink of survival, trying to survive. But I cannot really pinpoint one decision that is standing out.
It's a continuous process.
It's a continuous process.
Do you like collaborations, Adon?
I think it is all about collaboration. In our business, in our company, we are not so open with collaborating. I mean, doing joint ventures and stuff like that. It doesn't. We're very focused on our own business. We do things the way we do it. But on a personal level, I always work with my people, and that is what I would urge anybody to do. It's you can't do anything on your own. There's this proverb that said, if you want to go fast, go on your own. If you want to go far, go with a lot of people.
Of course. Can you share with us an example of a successful collaboration that you've seen in your career and had a positive and lasting impact?
I would say that we have one of the things that we are doing in our company, and we are quite proud of it. We have a program that we come very close, in order to come very close to our seafarers on board, because we believe that The seafarer, the officers and the crew are the ones who run the ships. We trust them. We've got about 1,600 or 1,700 people that are working at sea, plus our 120 or 130 people working ashore. And we try to be close to them. So we, over the years, since 2008, we started doing conferences for our people. And we try to take this to a different level, not just the requirement they have to be there and give a couple of lectures and say hi, here we are, but we actually try and show that we care. We make it fun for them, and we placed a great effort in this. And this is, of course, a collaborative effort from people ashore, on board, everywhere.
Okay, Adoni, how do you make it fun for them? On board, fun on board. What does that mean?
It's not only fun on board, fun ashore. The idea is to be close to them, and if somebody is enjoying what they do, they're going to do it well. Mm-hmm. That is my philosophy. There are ways that, you have to be close to them. Whatever they ask for, you have to provide it. You cannot
meet their needs. You mean on board?
Meet their needs. We had. I'll give you an example. We had didn't come directly to me. He came to my IT manager. He was on board the ship, and one of the second officers, I think he was Ukrainian. He said, "Look, I appreciate we have the system now. We have Starlink. We got high speeds. We can connect to our people, and everybody's happy. But for me personally, I'm a gamer. I like to play games online with my friends." And this specific site that we play is one of the restricted sites. The ones who say, "So please make an exception for me. Just open up this site so I can play my games." That's how I connect. I don't care about the Facebook or WhatsApp or talking to my friends. I have my friends online and they're waiting for me to play games. And he asked me, I said, "Sure, of course, open it." So what, it's a very specific request. You can meet it easily. And it can change his life on board. Because life on board isn't easy. It's easier than it used to be. It's safer than it used to be. Yes. But still, you are away for long periods of time. You don't get short leave. The people who are on board now, most of them, they had a very difficult time during COVID. COVID was a period where, the seafarer was confined on board. Very, very difficult period for them. So, yes, we have to cater to their needs to make it fun.
Have you heard of any absurd needs from seafarers?
There will always be. And your definition of absurd is different.
What's absurd for you?
Exactly. If you go to our, let's say, purchasing department, they will always be complaining that they're asking for this on their menu. They're asking for more entertainment equipment. So the definition of absurd is very, very, let's say, relative.
Absurd.
Absurd, yes. I don't think I can come up with something at the moment that we have, but I can tell you an old story about what is. I went to a very old story. When I was a superintendent, I went to take delivery of a ship from French company. I went on board on the day of Christmas, and of course, because it was Christmas, they had taken provisions, in a French ship with French officers and Spanish officers, and they had lobsters, they had champagne, this is a long time ago.
All right.
And French cheeses, a very, very, high-end, let's say, menu. And after people came on board, the full Filipino crew, totally everything disappeared. So, what happened to all these provisions? Jesus, we don't eat that stuff. We threw it away. He says, really, we want our stuff, chicken, our rice, fish. So, where did all the good stuff go? But everything is relative.
So that means that you need to cover meaningful needs, right?
Okay, exactly.
Needs. Okay. How can we define success in shipping? Is it about financial gains? Is it about sustainability? Is it innovation? Is it something else entirely?
I think, again, that this is a very subjective definition.
For you?
And for me. For me, success is connectivity, I would say. Connecting people, connecting ports, connecting cultures, connecting goods.
The essence of the industry.
This is the essence of it. If you do this well, you are successful. If you do it well, you may also be profitable. Not all the time, because profitability depends. This is a very cyclical industry, and so profitability also depends when you enter, when you exit. So there's a lot of other factors. But
So are you suggesting that success has to do with efficiency?
success and effectiveness with effectiveness, not efficiency. Effectiveness, delivering what has to be delivered. We have to transport our goods. We have to connect with our people. We have to bridge, let's say, differences, different cultures, different languages, different religions, different beliefs. I've I've been on board at times when we had the civil war in Yugoslavia, and had Croatian and Serbian officers serving together. Not easy. There are different reasons very recently. We have a very large pool of Ukrainian officers, but also have some Russian ones. When the war broke out, we had ships which had both nationalities on board. Not very easy to handle, but we managed. So it's about bridging differences. And just with this opportunity, I'd like to mention that we have done a lot to help our Ukrainian seafarers. From the moment the war broke out, we were supportive. We told them that we had an office in Odessa, which we relocated to Romania. In Tulsia is a city next to the border. And we told all our people, we told them that, we can't help you in Ukraine, but if you can get your families to the border, we'll take care of them. So slowly they started arriving at the border. I went myself there about 2 or 3 weeks after the war started with my colleagues. At the time, there were about 300 to 400 people crossing the border every hour. And it was very shocking to see people. I saw an very old guy, I would say, very old, like my father maybe, dragging a small suitcase, walking and crying. I mean, what can you put in a small suitcase? His whole life, and that was it. And we had this program. So slowly we got all our families safe in Romania. We rented some hotels, and we supported them. And still we're running this program. We got about 550 people that we are supporting financially and providing accommodation for them until they are able to go back to their homes. But we witnessed very heartbreaking stories. We had one baby that was born at the border. One of our seafarers, he had 2 kids. His wife was pregnant. He tried to cross the border. The border official said, no, you have to stay because they had a limit for the age. Your wife and children won't cross. He said, no way. He had to bribe the border officer. By the time of this time, the baby was born at the border. So when I went there, he was already like 2 weeks old. So these are stories that they
touch you, right?
They touch you, and this is the essence, that you are bridging all these gaps. And
I can see empathy in your eyes when you narrate such stories, and I think that you're romantic indeed, and that your body and soul is there when you work.
I think
it's obvious.
Yeah, the body is not very easy to move, but I think that. I am very passionate, and maybe more than I should be sometimes. Passionate and empathetic, like you say. And actually, the word empathy, I like it because it has this very different meaning in English than in Greek. It's like a totally opposite. The word empathy. I mean, I'm surprised. I don't know etymologically how it came out, but empathy. In Greek is synesthesis is the Greek word, but the Greek word empathia is very different. So it's a very tricky word to use. But
indeed,
yes, I think empathy is one of the qualities, because we talked about leadership before, is one of the top qualities that the leader of the 21st century must embrace. And it is something, in a sense, it is a skill, but it has to be also inherent, and it has to be honest, and it has to be something that you cannot fake it. That is it. Like caring and empathy, you cannot fake this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. If you could change one factor, one thing about shipping, what would that be?
We want to change a lot. It's just very difficult to choose just one.
You can tell it to us, 3 things.
I think one thing that is creates problems for us, for our industry, is unilateral legislation. The fact that, the European Union will make a regulation, and then the US will make another one, and then China will make another one.
You need full standardization.
We need a common working ground. We have the IMO, yes, the IMO is a bit slow sometimes, but it's very difficult for us to comply with the whims of every other country. I mean, a different region here, different there, different requirements. And, this started out, I don't know, maybe 30 years ago with United States with the OPA 90, because at that time, yes, it is something like this. Yes. The IMO was slow. They wanted to introduce a double hull. And of course, a double hull technology in the early days wasn't so ready anyway. But they wanted to do something fast. That was the beginning. After that, everybody started coming out with their own version of.
Do you believe in legislation?
Yes, I do. It has to be there, in my opinion. Somebody has to lay out the playing field. But like I said, it has to be uniform. It has to be thought that people have to think about it. I think especially in the European Union now, for example, we have this FUD EU coming up. I think, people in Brussels are just sitting down and trying to find complicated ways to make something, I don't know, something that doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Maybe they have too many parties and factors in mind.
Yes, you try to satisfy a lot of different, lobbies or interests or whatever you want to call it, and you end up with something that is not practical. This is the problem, the core problem. Plus, that it is, like I said, the unilateral nature of it.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that the owners' interests are covered?
In what sense?
By those legislations? The owners are exposed or covered by those legislations, mostly?
I think the majority of legislations is there to create a safe environment for our seafarers and for the transportation of goods. I think the majority of legislation. I'll give you another example. Ballast water treatment systems. Mm-hmm. The industry invested, I don't know, billions in the end of the day to cover this requirement. In my view, not effective. Apart from the fact that many of the systems are not operating, it's not a reliable technology. The benefit that you get out of all this investment, I think it's very small. The previously existing system of ballast water exchange, yes, I understand. The idea is to protect the marine environment from the transportation of microorganisms. This was quite effective with an existing system, which was a ballast water exchange that cost nothing. It was being practiced. It was being enforced. And then suddenly we introduced this new regulation, a lot of cost, very small benefit. So I think, people have to think it out. I think the owners, yes, they benefit. Eventually they benefit because safety the safety record has improved. Environment protection has improved, definitely. Since the day we were young and I was sailing, a lot of things have changed. So this is a safer environment, definitely. And everybody wants this.
And cleaner.
And cleaner, yes, it is. It is very cleaner, much cleaner. There's nothing to do. I go on board ships now, and I am impressed. I still, every time I go on board, because in my mind I have the ships that we had in the old days, and you go to the purifier room, and traditionally the purifier room used to be covered in oil. Now everything is so clean, and I congratulate the chief engineer, and I'm sure he doesn't know why I'm congratulating him, because this is normal for them now. So, yes, everything is.
Do you prefer being on shore or on board?
Big question. I'm too old now to be on board for a long period of time.
What is your preference?
But when you go on board, suddenly you feel a different connection to the object.
This is something else that I can see in your eyes. That's why I'm asking you.
It is important. But I can feel the same connection when I go to the Philippines or when I go to India to our manning offices. We have offices, and I'm among our seafarers. I also get this connection. So it is a feeling.
I can say that you feel nostalgic when you recall this.
Yes, nostalgic. Like I said, I'm a bit of a romantic compared to other people in the industry.
Why vessels are romantic places?
I think it is the search of being able to leave, to depart,
to escape,
to sail away, to
move. Ελεύθερος,
Like, for example, when you go to an airport. When you go to an airport, suddenly you get a different. Even if you go for a bit, you get a different mood. A different mood. Something is moving.
Okay. What's one lesson that you learned during your career and has stayed with you and has shaped your leadership style?
A lesson. I think that as years go by, I think that there are a couple of words that are important, and I think one is respect, and the other one is humility. I believe that, and it's not easy as you advance in life to maintain a respectful approach toward everyone. Doesn't matter if it is the oiler on board or the ship owner or the president or whoever. You have to be equally respectful to everybody. And it's not easy always when people advance in life. They kind of forget sometimes where they're coming from. And to remain humble. I think these are the two most important lessons. If I wanted to let's say, give some advice to the younger generation.
Yes, we need some advice for the young people, for your students.
This is what I would suggest. You need to work hard, yes, to understand that you don't know everything, and you never will know everything. I see a lot of young people. They come enthusiastic in the job. They, in a couple of years, they know everything, and over time they understand that it's only a small portion of what is there to be found out. And to remain humble and respectful, I think these are the key points.
How do you earn respect in shipping?
Not only shipping. I don't think it's a matter of shipping. It's a matter of human relations anyway. And I think there are two kinds of respect, in my view. There is, let's say, we can call it the statutory respect. Okay. Which is the respect that comes with a title, with a position. Like if you're a captain on board the ship, by definition, some people have to respect you.
Authority.
And that is not earned. That is there, and you have to do it. If you're coming across somebody who is old, by definition, you respect the elderly. Yes. Of course, if he could be a very bad person and will not earn the respect. So. The other part of the respect is the one that is being earned. And this is being earned, again, by your behavior. It's a behavioral thing. So over years and with your people you work with, maybe one will go down and the other one come up. I mean, if you're successful, if you're a good captain, your statutory respect and your people get to know you, slowly they will bridge a gap. But you will earn the real respect, which is more important in my view. You cannot stay with a statutory respect. It's not worth anything. You need to have it, yes. Everybody has it.
It won't last long, you mean?
It will not take you all the way. You need to earn the real respect of your people. And you can earn, the best way to earn respect, I think, another key word is fairness. You have to be fair. You have to show and to explain to your people that you are being fair.
How do you do that?
It's very difficult. It is very difficult because it is about
you always engage people in decision making.
Not necessarily in decision making, at all the times. But you need to make them understand. If they have to say something, you make them feel that they have been heard. If you have something to communicate to them, you need to explain to them that, I've thought it out and this is the way we're going to.
But this is a more time-consuming and complicated process, isn't it?
It is.
But it's worth it, right?
It is. I think it is. And you want to be able, you don't have to do it all of the time. Sometimes it's more important. Sometimes, it's depending on the decision. Sometimes you're looking for speed. Sometimes you're looking for accuracy. Not all. You can't get everything right at the same time. And of course, the other main thing is to be able to admit your mistakes. Because we are human beings. Yes, by definition, we will make mistakes.
Give me an example when you admitted a mistake of yours.
Very frequently. And I will, I do it sometimes on purpose so that I can show to my people that, it's not bad to admit your mistake or to admit that you don't know something. I will ask, very recently I called up Maria, who works here, and I said, what do these initials stand for? Wasn't ashamed to ask something. I knew it, but I did it on purpose to make her understand that, if I'm not ashamed to ask about something, then she should also not be ashamed. Because a lot of reactions are driven by shame, by fear. People are afraid that they're going to be judged, and this doesn't promote the openness that we want to have. You have to be able to ask questions without any fear of any repercussion of any, being judged or anything like that. And then you need to actually do that and promote it again and again, because the instinct of the person is not to do it. Instinctively, people are being taught by their mothers, by their fathers, that they should be very careful what they say, but they should be, very cautious of what the people will think about them. So inherently, they have this, let's say, restriction. It is something that you need to unlock, and it takes time, and you must lead by example. So it's important to show that I don't have all the answers, I don't get everything right, and I'm not afraid to ask questions, because then they will also do it.
Right. Excellent. I agree. I need a final comment, piece of advice from you to young people, to our students maybe. What do they need to enter this field, to succeed in this field?
So I think that my final word will be: don't come to our industry for the money. Don't come to our industry because it's...
But your industry is popular for the money.
It is, but it's not enough. You need to have a passion for shipping. It is a business where passion is important. It's not accounting. It's not trading stocks. It is something totally different, in my opinion. So passion about the business is important. The same thing goes also to the people who are in the academies. A lot of the people go in the academies, the maritime academies, because it's easy, the entry level is lower, or because they think, we're going to go on board for a few years and make some money and so on. You need to be passionate about this business. From all posts, on board, ashore, you need to have passion. This is the way I see it. And I hope your students show this passion and they follow a career. It's not going to be easy. Definitely not easy. Very competitive. And a lot of new applicants every year. I see a lot of courses being offered around again. I didn't know so many courses. So it's not going to be that easy to get all these people in our industry.
Is education important to you? Certificates, diplomas, etc., degrees? Or it's a matter of personality?
I'm tempted to say that it's not so important for me.
This is a question that I get from my students very often, that's why.
I'll tell you, myself, I don't have a postgraduate degree. I studied mechanical engineering, and when I wanted to do a master's, my father said, you had enough of study. I wasn't so good a student anyway. So he said, come to the business, and then if you want, you do something later. I never did it. I recently, but the problem is that now everybody has a degree or 2 degrees or 3 degrees. It's not easy, so it's not competitive. Recently, we employed a young lady, and I think it was the first time in quite some time that didn't have a university degree for a very important position, which is being an operator, a ship operator. Mm-hmm. There was this, our HR manager, she saw this CV, said it's interesting, but she doesn't have the degree and so on. So let's have a look at her. Again, we employ also women ashore that operate the ships, which is not very common. Usually the operators ashore are the previous port captains and so on. Anyway, we have a different mentality on this. And it so happens that, we did the interview, very successful. I was very impressed. I said, let's go for it. So I don't think it is a necessary requirement. For me, it's not a necessary requirement, but I would say we are the exception. I would say 9 out of 10 or 99 out of 100 doors are going to knock on. The first thing they're going to look at the degrees, and if you don't have something, it's going to go at the bottom of the pile, the CV. So
it is important.
It is important. It is, let's say, again, by default, let's say, important.
Okay. So, and that brings us to the end of today's episode. A big thank you to Adonis Lambros for your very interesting insights. Thank you, Adonis.
I hope it was.
For this very fun conversation, for sharing your insights. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to the Greek Shipping Podcast so you don't miss out any of the future very interesting conversations with our speakers. We love shipping. Until next time.